Hey,
Hi,
how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for having me on.
I didn't realize I had to admit you in here. I just saw that.
Yeah, I I always get confused by the Zoom thing. There's always one more step than I remember.
That's what I was trying to figure out how to send you a link for like 3 minutes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I was testing this earlier, but then I finally realized how to do it. So I'm sorry that was, um, I've had a busier day than I thought I would, and I've
Oh, no
been,
problem.
yeah.
Thanks for having me on and asking me and everything.
Yeah, no problem. So do you want to, um, I don't know, can you see me?
I can see you. Can you see me?
No, I can't.
Oh, you can't. I think.
That's what
Let me
it,
see. There you
I'm
go.
I could do
I'm
it
here.
that way. Hi.
I'm here. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, sorry. I forgot that like it doesn't automatically put the video on.
No.
Okay, yeah, I got it. It's at the bottom. I remember. Yeah. It's been a
Okay.
couple. It's been about a month since I've been on this, a little bit since I've been in Zoom. They always update it, and things are in different places.
I know, it's so weird. I barely even used it for school, so I kind of don't even get the hang of it.
Oh, nice, nice. You did some classes on the internet or like on Zoom?
I did, I never did school during the COVID time, but
Okay,
like after because you know when people like people went home during
right,
school. I never did that. I went after, so I never had to do the big stuff, but
right. Or worry about it. Yeah,
yeah. Sorry, that was like not put together thought.
right.
But
I
yeah,
looked at your I looked at your questions and I didn't. I mean, I just like went over them a couple more times before I was right before just to like just jog it in my head.
oh really?
I mean, it's not super. It's not like if we obviously, I don't know, you don't if you don't want to stick to them, it's full. But I don't need to like plan excessively. I just
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that either. That's what yeah. I wanted to okay, let me just introduce to the podcast, I guess, or just
sure.
I'll say well, I don't know. I might like if what we have said before, if I uploaded that, would that be fine?
Yeah, yeah. Everything. I'm assuming it's we're ready to record whenever you want. So
Yeah, that's what I'm like. I don't love to edit, so
right, no, just go right ahead. I can't. I pretty much have the expectation when I'm on, I'm ready. So
that's what yeah.
it's not a big deal. There's nothing here to you have to edit out or anything. It should all be good.
Yeah. That's what I would edit if you wanted me to, but
No, but it's
fine.
fine.
Okay, but hello everyone. This is the Lucy Y podcast. I just hit my table. Today is September 11th, 8:06 p.m. and this is Eric Contractor. I have seen you ever since I saw you on TikTok in like 2020. Like you fascinated me and it like you've just been in my head. I'm like, "Oh, that would always be a cool person to talk to."
Thanks.
Like I just felt connected in some way, like I just understood you.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
make
go ahead. Sorry.
oh, I was just gonna say you make music
Oh,
and
thanks. Oh
that's
no, that's not this is a description, but thanks for everything you said. Thanks for everything you said
yeah,
for like taking interest.
yeah. No, you're interesting and you're into astrology too, which is cool.
Yeah, definitely like both.
Yeah, that's what fascinated me. I didn't start learning about that until like 2020, so I'm still kind of like newish.
Do you like to read articles? Have you had readings? How do you do you just like to always read? Do you follow accounts about astrology and things like that? Or
I don't love I mean, we don't you know like a lot of the meme accounts and Instagram accounts. No, I don't do that, but I did get a reading like 5 months ago, and that was
Right.
fascinating and very humbling when I watched the recording back like a couple weeks ago. Because like 5 months ago, I kind of thought I knew more than her a little bit. I don't know, like I didn't. I was so excited to see her, and I think I was expecting a lot more, and that's what was very humbling watching it back. Um, but I've basically been studying on my own. I like to like research on my own and Google on my own.
There's so much, there's like an ocean of material about astrology out now, and like I think as always like the case is like having discernment, because like what I noticed is that like the person who gave you a reading maybe doesn't have this big TikTok audience the way that a lot of young people now have TikTok audiences, which are enormous. But it doesn't mean that they have the skill that the person who gave you the reading had, because she's a professional. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like a lot of this are like a placements. It's like a placements. Like I have two planets here and two planets, but so astrology is more than like, oh, I have this here and not there. I mean, that's all true and valid, but it's only one layer, and it's not. And you it doesn't necessarily mean you can do a consultation on that alone. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of layers that go into it. And when I see things in TikTok, a lot of it to me kind of falls in the semi-entertainment space, and like kind of like, general entertainment space, when they're sort of passing it off like it's real. And I hope people don't take it completely literally, because it's more involved and more layered than that.
Yeah. Like I know a lot of stuff on TikTok, like sometimes they do the warning label, like don't take one thing into without taking everything into consideration, and
Right.
people forget about that or kind of don't know the whole scope of it. Like when I used to get mad at people when they just would talk about their sun sign or like three signs, the big three, and now I don't get mad. Like I get it. At least you're like interested in it. That's what I like. I'm like, at least you're interested in it, but
It's an
uh,
entry point. Yeah.
yeah, like it's not everything. And like if you want me to get into it, I'll get into it. Like talking to people. That's what I usually just because I would try to explain it all to people, and it's like you're speaking another language and they kind of don't even like know what you're talking
Right.
about, and it's like, ugh, what's the point? Like I would just get frustrated. So the when I got the reading, she was like the first kind of person that actually knew astrology. Like I kind of felt like very nervous and excited. I kind of felt like how I felt like coming into this. Like I'm just like I just want to get into it because like my brain, like if I know I'm doing something that day, like I just kind of just want to get really into it. So
Right. Yeah. I like to look to the culture. So yeah, we can talk about anything. We can anything you want to discuss, pretty much. Pretty much, yeah. And
yeah,
we
that's
can
what
just keep it
I
open
didn't want
ended.
to talk too much about astrology because not a lot of people get it, but that's also why I was fascinated by you. Because I don't know, you made connections with like music and astrology, which was fascinating. But I
Oh,
think
thank
my
you.
first question, I like asking, how are you? How do you feel? I have a little thing on my computer that pops up like once a day that asks me that. So
A reminder.
yeah,
What was it? Like, I feel good. I feel more or less good.
good.
Um, I feel more or less good, a little bit more relaxed over. You know what it is? Like it finally started raining, so um, it's been thundering all weekend. So like that, I kind of that it's not so much no, I'm not scared of thunder, but the issue is like if it kind of thunders, then it's always like and the weather is always like in a state of anticipation.
Mm,
And it doesn't rain, or you don't feel like there's any kind of like result of all that thunder. It makes me feel tense, like there's always a storm that's brewing but not quite happening.
yeah, it's been like very gray this week.
Very gray, right? And so it's like there's finally a downpour, which made me feel like there's like a catharsis in the weather. Sometimes I get into a better mode when I feel like it's finally rains after all the thunder.
I know, I love rain, and it does feel good.
Right,
It,
exactly.
I'm gonna
Um,
give blood tomorrow, and you have to wait like 8 weeks in between giving blood, and I feel so much better once I do. Like it feels like a whole new refreshed state of 8 weeks. So
do
I'm
you
excited for
I've
that.
never done that.
Oh,
Does it hurt?
if you don't look at it, no, it doesn't hurt really.
Okay.
It's kind
People
of
said
it's worth it.
people said just don't look or so. If you do it, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. Once they start to put it in, I'm like, don't look. And a lot of times they mess up, and I get blood everywhere, and I'm like, oh, it's fine. Like,
All right.
like it is fine. But I like I did it. once. They had it going on at school, like a blood drive, and I just had
Mm.
a feeling to go, like intuitive feeling. Like I just knew like it would be good for me. So I did it. And I really just wanted to find out what blood type I was. And then I did the next day and I realized I was O negative, which is like the one,
Rare.
yeah, where you can like donate to anyone in
Oh,
need.
so you're like well sought after.
Yeah, like that I
Yeah,
get text messages like the day after, like, we just used yours in this hospital, and I'm like, oh, I've saved a life. They what they
that's
tell
nice. But that means you can't receive. Am I correct? That means you can't you can give to anyone, but you can't receive from anyone but the same type.
oh, maybe that makes sense.
I don't know. I mean, maybe you have this wrong, but I'm pretty sure that you're the least you're the least receptive, but the most like yours is the most open ended to give, but the least receptive. You can't take. I could be wrong. Don't quote
No,
me on that. But
that feels right. That's fascinating.
right, right. Don't quote me on that. I'm not an expert, but that's what I remember reading. I think.
No, that would make sense. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, not gonna lie, I could did kind of feel special finding that out. Like I'm
Right.
not like special, but it did kind of feel, if I had to admit, I mean, I like giving blood, so but it was just funny. You know when people try to like use anything to make themselves feel cool or something.
Oh, I actually don't know. I actually don't know what my blood type is actually offhand.
See, I think it's important to know.
At
Uh,
some point, I'll find out. At some point, I'll find out. I wouldn't expect that as a rare one.
do you ever go on TikTok live?
Um,
Because I
I have
haven't.
a few times. I
Uh,
have it just maybe like 3 or 4 times max, no more than 4 or 5.
uh,
4, maybe 4. Um, I probably could, or I probably should. I find myself the least comfortable with it actually.
uh,
Um,
you
like
talk.
I'll go on stage no problem in front of. I'll go on stage as a performer, as a musician. I'll go on stage in front of any number of people with relatively little problem. With the live thing, I haven't quite gotten the hang of.
I do you like being on Zoom or phone calls? Because I mean, I don't think I can look at you in the eye right now. Like I feel like I'm almost, but not really. I
Oh,
mean,
like you're like, hey, but this is the mode you look for the podcast. Like you're still getting used to like the podcast mode and the Zoom thing and everything.
wait, what do you mean?
You're still getting used to it, like the Zoom or the podcast format, or
Oh yeah, I also wanted to say, I mean, you're my first podcast guest besides my brother.
oh, nice, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, like, yeah, it's not like I wouldn't say like I'm 100% natural with the Zoom call thing, but I'm like I'm fine. I'm perfect. I'm cool with it more or less. Yeah, I'm fine. Like
I guess
whenever I meet people.
I meant like I mean in friendships, like I've never liked the FaceTime because I felt like I couldn't feel the other person's energy like through this I mean especially on live because you're not really like seeing them either.
It depends too. I mean, like I'm kind of like you. There. Okay, like how do I put this? There are people like every so often there are people who like the format, and I kind of go and there's like and I feel like either I don't like with a particular person, I might get a feeling like I don't know about that. Like with some people, like if you know what I mean, especially if like what they're why they want to do is vague. I've had a couple of people like it's not like a mode, and I'm not used to the idea that people have a mode because like people who I had like they wouldn't explain, they would just say hey, or they wouldn't say anything, and they'd be like want to do a Zoom thing. It's like, well, I don't know what you're asking me to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's a little bit like where it's like if someone says like, "Hey, like we're doing a podcast, you want to talk about this?" Like, sure, you know what I mean, and I have a good feeling about it. But I have an intuitive thing about it. Like sometimes, like,
Yeah.
and that's the same thing with the live too. Is that like I don't understand when it comes to like doing like a live thing on TikTok. Like, I think what I'm not prepared for is like I don't know. I would rather know who. It's not that I'm afraid to perform for people to play music or talk to people. I just want to have some context of what everyone else is there for and what they're doing. And when I don't, and it's just numbers 5 and 7 and 8 are on now 4, it makes me feel like what's going on here. I don't have a full context in my head. If
Uh,
it's sort of like I'm on stage and there's a one-way glass and they can see me and I can't see them, which makes me feel uncomfortable because it's not like I don't like to perform or I'm afraid of people at all. It's just more I want to know how to read the people and I feel like I can't read them
mm.
if I don't know where they're coming from and I can't see how they're interacting with me the way I'm interacting with them.
That's just interesting because you post a lot.
Yeah, I can post. I have no problem. Well, okay at times like if I post sometimes like later that night, early in the morning, I wish I didn't, if that makes
Yeah,
sense, because I feel exposed, right? I put myself out there.
that's how I
I
feel.
do it. So people, I also think it creates this I also think people get this I feel like people get, well, at least in my case, I'm not sure if you feel the same. I feel like in my case, people, I think, get the wrong, I sometimes wonder if people get the wrong idea because I post a lot. People
Mhm.
must think like you're really extroverted and you're completely comfortable with this. It's like, well, there's a
Yeah,
bit which is always a little bit.
and if people that say that like aren't intuitive, because you can tell by watching any of your videos or like hearing you talk, like you like I think I've heard you talk about being introverted too, but you could just tell.
And yeah, I think people take it to mean like, do you want like, hey, you never, people take it to mean like, like, people, I think people make assumptions I'm really extroverted or like I'm ready to just do anything.
Yeah, I
And
guess.
I feel a little like, and by the way, that's not to say I don't appreciate people getting in touch. Of course I do, but sometimes it's difficult for me, the medium, because I feel like it's overwhelming at times.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if you feel the same way.
yeah. I mean, like people trying to like read you or like get close to you.
Yeah, and the amount of, and by the way, what I had going on is, what I have to say that what I have going on, I think is pretty modest, like in terms of people who is an audience or anything. I do think is quite modest, but even that, I felt like there's a lot going on, and there's lives, and there's people, and I don't know how people are reacting to it because people can also watch it,
Mhm.
and they may not even engage with it at all, but it doesn't mean they didn't watch it. It's like I had just, this was so weird about it. I don't understand how it's coming across to people, because it does, even for a person like, even for a person who doesn't have much like a huge audience, like it still gets out to a lot of people, you know what I mean? And people forget that, I think.
Yeah, that's what I mean, I was thinking it like I just have a regular Instagram and like a TikTok and like everything. And I mean, every time I post, like it would surprise me. It still surprised me the people that it reaches. Like it like shocks me. But I never liked the stuff I posted because I never felt like it really truly expressed me. Like that's why like texting you and texting people that I've never met in person, I don't know what to say because I don't I think I am worried that people make assumptions and judgments based off me, but it's like I can't control that. And I
Right,
should just be me no matter what. But it's kind of hard to express me in text anyway. Just
right.
like any human, it's hard to express in text. And because I know you just have to have like, I mean, I don't know, especially with not knowing that person. Like I am kind of, I like being straightforward in text because otherwise I think about it way too much. And I still like, I mean, texting you, like I would think about it a lot and it's like, okay, I'm just gonna send it. Like I've worked on that a lot. Um,
Right, like going over it and being I felt self-conscious about messaging and getting it right, or not
yeah.
saying the wrong thing.
Yeah, that's how I'm really trying to not be like that anymore. What
Right.
you were saying with people, yeah, it's been surprising how many people have like listened to my podcast. Like it's surprising. And it's not that, I mean, I kind of live in a small town and it's like I don't know. I had a decent amount of followers just based off of, I mean, nothing. Just I've gone to a lot of different schools, um,
Hmm.
so I feel like that's like I kind of, and I have a lot of siblings, so it's like I've just realized I had a lot of followers, and I'm like, let me do something with this. Like, what I actually want to put out there is like my voice and talking,
Well,
like
one thing that, I mean, whoever it is, like one thing that helps with people, I think, when people like anyone who wants to like put themselves out there for their podcast, their music, their creativity thing, is it always helps. I think it's always like a good helps, like when someone is young and they're going to schools and they're around all these younger people. That really is that really helps. That can really help a lot of young people who want to get their thing out there, and I just again think inherently boosts them because they're just in the mix a lot with people, and everyone's at that stage of life where they're like, where they're open to meeting people and interacting.
yeah. Do you go to school or anything?
I went to school. Yeah, I went to school a while back. I went to college for I was there, and I went for music. So
Oh, that's I dropped out, so
so
but
you're
I
going, you went to a few, you said, or
yeah, I went to like three different colleges. So it is
were
a
they
great
in your state, or were they in were they state, or okay.
yeah, they all were. Like University of Kentucky. I live
Okay.
in that town where it is. It's like
Which town is that? But
a Lexington, Kentucky.
Lexington, the capital. Is that the capital? No, that's the capital.
No, that's Frankfurt, but that's like 40 minutes away, 30.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of close. Yeah, Lexington and Louisville are probably the ones like the biggest Lexington or
The two
towns.
biggest ones, right?
Yeah, and they both have colleges and they both hate each other, but yeah, I went there and I actually got suspended for grades. I never got great grades in school. Did you?
Um, my parents, you know what? My parents are professors, so like the school was always like a thing. Because it was in the family, I always did okay.
Oh, you did.
I always did okay because my parents are professors, so education was kind of like in the family. So they're professors. So
Are you like more logical or right brain or like left brain? I don't know.
I don't really know.
I mean, obviously a balance of both, so
I maybe, yeah, maybe. I've taken tests and they say that I'm like heavily logic driven.
that's what I was thinking. I just feel like school is better for more logical brained people.
Right, right.
Easy.
I guess logic. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I obviously would have to be some of both, otherwise I wouldn't create. But I don't know. I'm not sure if the tests really work, yeah, or if they really can reveal that completely. It's hard to say.
Do you, I don't know, if you took the MBTI, what would you say you were?
Is that the one with the letters, like the four
Yeah.
letters?
Like
It was
I,
like something like introverted into, I don't know, INTNB, like something like introverted intuitive. Is that a subtype or is that like one of the types?
yeah,
Is it something like that?
but I think mine's like INFP, feeling and then perceiving, or you could be judging, judging or perceiving. Yeah.
Yeah, I've taken it. I don't quite. Did take like 15 minutes of testing. I think it was along the lines. I'm not sure if that's an exact type. It was along those lines. Those were the words in the description of the result that came up.
You know,
I believe.
uh, that's what I felt like we were like at least in the introverted and then intuitive side.
Right, and there may be two or three of those similar subtypes, but I don't quite remember. There's like 16. Is that one? There's like 16 types, and there's sort of like
16 personalities, yeah.
and it's sort of like from bottom, it's like kind of like from introverted to extroverted, from intuitive to lot. It's like two different
Mm.
axes or something.
Yeah, with like a ballpoint graph or I guess
Right.
yeah, you get point. I took a psych of personality last semester, so we did I had to take a lot of tests like that and learn about that.
Nice, nice. Were you going for psychology? Are you going for psychology or?
That's what I was. That's what after UK I went to a community college for a while, tried that. And then my most recent school was a Christian college. And so that's what it was fascinating. My major was pre-art therapy. So it was
Oh,
basically
nice,
art major and psychology major. Um,
nice.
it was just fascinating. Everyone at the Christian college kind of love the personality quizzes and everything. And I'm like, well, I mean, taking all the psychology classes, like I think it would be, I mean, studying astrology has helped me learn a lot about myself and my personality. And I think there could be like a whole new personality theory you
Worked out.
could create and put it in probably a textbook or I don't know.
Right, right.
I mean, yeah.
It's interesting. Well, it's interesting. Like, yeah, there's different. I think people have different, depending on who you talk to, and people have different ideas of like, well, how much of the astrology is really you? How much of the astrology, like if you have like a horoscope or a natal chart, right? I mean, how much people say like, how much of this are you your astrology? Like, is what you're saying on the horoscope a or directly like who you are? Is it a direct reflection of who you are? And some people, I think people tend to believe it is, and then other people are like, well, really, it doesn't tell you everything about a person or a soul or an entity. It kind of takes on. I mean, I would actually subscribe more to this. Is that like if you look at a horoscope, it kind of tells you the conditions and the themes and the challenges of energy flows and manifestations of one's life as they're placed into a climate. Like it describes a climate that the soul is placed in, but it may not reveal everything about the inherent character about the soul, but rather what the soul has to contend with in this life. And
Mm.
so, and in so doing, as they work with that, those challenges, or limitations, or blessings, so to speak, they begin to resemble the chart insofar as they deal with those problems, right? Or the themes of the chart. But it doesn't mean that I'm not. It's not clear. It's like a huge question. To what extent is that person actually literally the astrology? I would actually say it's something between the two. Like they begin to resemble the astrology chart insofar as life presents them those themes, and that soul works with those energies, and so it looks like that's their personality. But I still feel like there's a more base level underneath that, which maybe is more mysterious as to who or what the soul or person actually is at a core level.
I've been really into checking my draconic chart like daily.
Draconic.
Yeah, and I really like looking at those transits.
Yeah, that's like yeah, that's like
It's more
right.
so,
That's exactly a good idea. That's exactly what I would say. Is that gives you an idea of like the soul level chart beneath astrology.
yeah, I mean I like looking back and forth, switching to tropical and then uh
Sidereal.
yeah, I
Well,
used to look more at sidereal and now I've been looking more at tropical. I don't know, I go back and forth.
I mean, yeah, that's these are like all the big questions in astrology. Well, one thing, I mean, for me, for me, the draconic chart doesn't do too much because my north node is at the Aries point. So obviously
Okay.
that obviously like
Oh, and draconic charts, yeah, yeah.
the draconic chart starts at zero Aries, and my north node is 2 degrees Aries. So really it doesn't really change any signs or anything all that much. The only thing it does reveal is it brings me into closer synastry with people I know when everything's and with the people I have synastry with. I have tight synastry with people if I've adjusted 2 degrees. And so
Oh,
when I'm at 2 degrees Aries, it puts everything in line by synastry with those people.
huh.
This is kind of more in depth. This is kind of more. We're already down a huge rabbit hole with the astrology here.
I know. No,
The draconic chart is basically, I guess, how do you understand it? For the draconic chart, as I understand it, because it relates to the north, because the draconic chart relates to the person at a more soul level, right? In terms of karmic, energies, right? And so far as it's yeah, it's a layer of it's a chart that's read for something that lies beneath um
that's
the
good for
astrology of our matrix, so to speak.
yeah. Uh, that's why I
Uh,
guess I feel more connected to my s- or like I guess I like to be more connected to my soul like in the mode of every day, I guess. That's why I like checking the transits. No, that's fascinating though. I my midheaven in tropical is at the Aries point. So I was
at zero Aries.
yeah,
So you
that's
have
what
a
I said.
cancer. You must have a cancer rising, probably, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
That's what when I was in sidereal, I when everyone would talk about being a Cancer, like, "Oh, you're a Cancer." I'm like, "No, I'm a Gemini, Gemini stellium."
Oh,
For
so wait, are you a cancer sun in the tropical?
yeah, and Leo moon.
Okay, and a rising.
Yeah, I have
Okay.
the like 12th house stellium or for first house stellium.
Interesting. And the moon, do you mind me asking where the moon is?
It's a Leo moon in the second house.
Oh, okay. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. I think I see. So it's
Yeah,
kind of like the sun is here, or rather, for your perspective, right? This is the ascendant, and your sun is here in Cancer rising, and then the moon is here in the
yeah.
second house in Leo. Okay.
I have like a bunch
Gotcha.
of planets right by my sun. My dog is getting at my door. One second.
Sure.
Oh, she was up with my mom. There she is.
Oh, hey, how's it going? So then, I mean, let me see. So I have so okay. So then it means for you, the 12th house in your case is going to be more about exploring. It could have a spiritual tinge. I mean, the 12th house by definition is that which is unknowable. Like it can never. I think people try and attempt to describe it, but it's actually the one thing which is not supposed to be totally described. It does actually describe that which is not to be fully described, but nonetheless, in a way, right? Like one would expect you to have a path of growth if you explore things behind the scenes, like or mysticism, things have to do with that, which is pulled away from conventional society. And that's opposite from the sixth house, which is all about mundane life. This is about the spiritual life and exploring the depths and vastness of the life and spiritual life away from the mundane. And so that
It's actually interesting. Like, my whole stellium, my sun is opposite my Lilith.
oh,
So
okay.
I have like Mercury, Venus, Sun, all and Mars, all opposite my Lilith, which is conjunct my South Node.
So
Which,
there's a couple Lilith. There's a true mean Lilith and there's a black moon Lilith, but more they're not going to be too far away. But let's
yeah, they're
what
very
yeah, for that's interesting. That's interesting because like it would add in more of an iconoclast. Like one would say, like Ray, would you agree with this? Like it would add in like you feel like you have an iconoclastic, it's mysticism, it's spirituality, it's like obviously it's a more kind of like restrained house or that which is hidden, but also like it brings in this element of iconoclastic or being unorthodox or something maybe even rebellious, right? Would you agree with that?
yeah. That's I really want to Google that word.
Which
Iconoclast.
ones or what did I say?
Iconoclast.
Oh, just like you're just yourself. You're doing your own thing, basically, right? Like, yeah, I didn't mean to use the word. Just kind of you're kind of an individual like sense of it, right? Yeah,
A
like
person who attacks cherished beliefs or institutions. I like that word.
that's sort of what came up in my head when I heard the Lilith of either kind. Well, it's the mean Lilith or the Black Moon Lilith. I think I have mine in Cancer actually. It's a not anaretic Cancer, Black Moon Lilith near the ascendant,
Mm,
which is I have it in early Leo and the Moon in Cancer.
what in Leo?
I have the ascendant Leo ascendant.
Oh, okay, so it's by your ascendant.
Right, and then like the Lilith is a little bit above that Cancer. And my moon is at in Cancer between the 11th and 12th, kind of hovering between the houses.
So your Lilith's in 12th.
Yeah, and the moon is maybe 12th, maybe 11th, kind of hovering between the two. And I kind of feel like I kind of feel it being between the two. It's kind of bridging both
In Leo, or what sign?
in Cancer.
Cancer. That's interesting.
And then
Does,
go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say the moon is anaretic.
The Lilith is anaretic in Cancer near the Leo ascendant. It's like kind of like 7 degrees Leo's the ascendant. It's kind of above, and like the Lilith is at 29 degrees Cancer, like
Hmm.
kind of like right above and kind of in the 12th house, and then the moon is kind of here at 7 Cancer between the 11th and 12th.
Is anything else in your 12th house?
That's it. And even the moon is kind of almost is more or less in the 11th sort of, but kind of hovering but teetering between the two.
That's interesting. I could that makes a lot of sense with your TikTok and
The
uh
sun in Virgo.
yeah, wait, what'd you say?
The sun in Virgo and
Oh,
and
Sun of
between the
Mary.
second and third. It's also hovering between the second and third. Sun in Virgo.
Oh, that makes sense too. Huh.
Squaring Uranus. So it kind of goes on. One thing that kind of annoys me about astrology when I see it is everything is placements. And like that just to get because to me it's like what happened to the geometry of astrology whereby you make angles. People like when people it's like the old expression when people say the stars came into alignment. It's like, well, if you think about that phrase and everyone knows it, the cliche when the stars came into alignment, that's like a reference to astrology, whether people are thinking astrology or not. But everyone's like, oh, placements. This is in this and this is in that. So I know you have to consider like what angles are the planet is making to each other because the planets give the qualities of the signs. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And if you don't do that, go ahead.
aspects are so important.
If no one discuss, it's almost like I see absolutely nothing on astrology, TikTok, or social media about aspects. I see absolutely nothing. And when I look at the comments, it's reflected when I see absolutely no one discussing the aspects. And it's just not. After a while, it's like it's not real astrology. It doesn't really go so deep. It's not like because like uh, how do I describe it? Like how does one describe Charlie Sheen? And how does someone describe a Charlie Sheen if he's a Virgo and he's a do-gooder? He's obviously not that thing, that archetypes of people. What's going on? Well, the answer is obviously I believe it was Pluto Sun conjunction in Virgo.
Mm,
But if you ignore the fact that the Sun and Pluto are in alignment in Virgo, it's just like, oh, he's a goody two shoes. He's a Virgo. He's going to be chaste. It's none of those things. It's just like he's even if we go according to placements, Charlie Sheen would isn't Charlie Sheen. It doesn't make any sense.
that is very true. Like we know when a lot of times when people think of Gemini, they think of Kanye, and it's like
Yeah,
judging
it's
everything
true. I mean,
off of
it is true, right? Right, it's true. Like it's like I see the Gemini, right? It's true, but
yeah, that everyone likes to shit on Gemini. Well,
when it
everyone
comes,
likes to shit on I don't wanna be I don't even but
well, yeah, I mean, what when I give that, but then like with Kanye West, it's like okay, but then like it's like okay, then we have the
uh,
square to Jupiter and the opposition to Neptune. So his sun in Gemini is flavored. and so he has as you may know his chart, but the Sun in Gemini is opposing, I believe. So Sun in Gemini means he has, yeah, it would be Neptune in Sagittarius, and then it would be um the Jupiter would be between the two in the north side of the chart. Well, but basically the case may be is that you have to incorporate the fact that he has Jupiter and Neptune aspecting the Sun, which gives him this sort of mega idealistic,
And
over
it's
the
in the
top,
12th
ego
house,
driven
I think.
quality. Was that
It's in the
in
12th house.
the 12th house? Which one's in the 12th house?
It says Jupiter. Mine.
No, you're right. He has a Cancer rising, which means, yeah, I know he's a Cancer rising, so that must mean his Gemini Sun's in the 12th house because it's a sign before it. So, but when it comes to Kanye West, like when it comes to Kanye West, like, yeah, Gemini, and I do see the Gemini thing immediately just by the sheer placement alone, but you're not getting a full picture unless you incorporate the outer planets which aspect that Sun. So the square to Jupiter is going to tell us about ego and overextension of ego and promises and self-belief in a way that's like over ambitious and gets them into trouble. And then Neptune opposing Jupiter, the Neptune with the Sun and Jupiter is going to give a musical component, or a person who deals in the realm of fashion and spirituality and things like that, and also hyper idealism, which can extend out of a sense of reality. So all that there has to be brought into that picture, in my view. You don't get a full picture of him.
Yeah. Do people ever pay you or do you ever do readings for
I
people?
do.
Oh, you
Yeah, I
do?
do. Yeah,
Oh,
I've been doing it for like 8 or 9 years.
that's what I feel like when I first saw you, maybe I tried to see if you could, but I never had any money, so I never paid anyone to read my chart. I always wanted to, and then I had the opportunity to, and my mom offered to pay
Oh,
for it,
nice.
kind of, so that's why I did it, and I was so excited. But
Right.
hearing you, I'm like, you could do that.
Yeah, and also like when it comes to Kanye West, when it comes to Kanye West, like, and again, you can't say that any chart means this or that outcome for a life. But if he didn't have those outer planet aspects touching his Gemini Sun, if his Gemini Sun did not receive those outer planet aspects, we would not be talking about Kanye West right now, probably most likely.
That makes sense.
Kanye West would not have reached the public conversation. Is more likely, had he not had that alignment, that he would just be he would be more likely to not be a prominent person because the outer planet energies as hooked up into his Sun gave him a more societal import of his life. That doesn't mean that if you have a Gemini Sun that's not hooked up into that arrangement, you won't be prominent or you can't have influence. It's just that's a huge component of what's going on here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it becomes a question when people are like, oh, well, look at Kanye West, he's a Gemini. Well, he's a Gemini, and therefore, because he acts that way and he's a Gemini, all Geminis. No, you're feeding back into qualities of his chart that aren't directly related to the Gemini archetype and ascribing them to everyone in different categories who don't share those same attributes.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of hazy stuff in astrology. So I know that doesn't mean anyway. I'm sounding kind of like persnickety, but there's a lot of stuff in astrology which people start to find meaning or correlation, but it may not be the thing they're citing as to what they're seeing may not be the thing they're seeing.
Yeah. No, I think it's good to um like even just like kind of introduce it and like kind of talk about how it's not, because I haven't really talked about that much about astrology on my podcast, but like I want people to know it's not like I don't even like using when you were using the word horoscope, I kind of don't even like using that word because every time it kind of goes to the funnies in the comics or
Yeah,
the newspaper, and it's like that's not what it is.
yeah, but as you know, it comes, but underneath that, the root of it was just the nativity, the natal chart. The horoscope is just
Yeah.
synonymous with all that. But
Yeah.
also, like, yeah, and when it comes to Kanye West as well, the Gemini has obviously, I do think it makes sense for him. Like, there's this feeling that he's a protean and shape shifting producer who can use the mechanics of a tool or an apparatus like a computer or a console, like a recording console, and he can work the magic using those tools. So the Gemini thing still applies, but it's almost like he's able to find his morphing within. He's able to morph and kind of transfigure sound and morph it in this alchemical way, in this seemingly wizard-like way, and that's where the Gemini thing receives all that energy. Is it works in a technological context or in terms of like a computer or a recording program.
I think it's less than a minute, it might shut off, and
Okay,
I will send you another link.
we'll
But
start again.
yeah, to start again. Are you okay
Cool.
with that?
Yeah, on here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go to the bathroom and do it, but I I also have Jupiter in the 12th house at 0 degrees. So
We'll pick up on that.
yeah. Okay, I'm gonna end it. See ya in a minute.
One moment.
Can you see me?
Again,
Okay. Sorry.
no problem. We're back.
Yeah, and I'm recording. Good. Okay. Nice. Yeah. I know I ended on the Jupiter thing, but it's just good that we even talked about astrology and like this isn't everything. Like I maybe I'll get more people interested in it because I mean it's like a whole new language. That's what it's like. I could like I don't know. I sometimes I send I try not to do it anymore, or at least make it like make sense. But I would send my siblings a bunch of stuff all the time, and they're kind of like, "This doesn't make
What's
any sense. Like you're crazy."
what's going on? Like, yeah.
Yeah, they think I'm like crazy, and it's like, but you if you just got it, like, but uh, I don't like pushing stuff onto people, and you can't. But yeah. What was another question I asked you? I just pulled it up. What? Here. Oh, what's the longest you've gone without listening to music?
Huh. I don't
I
know the answer to that question. I mean, maybe it could be like a day and a half. I mean, it's hard for me to remember. Maybe like a day and a half, or probably maybe 2 days, a day and a half, 2 days when like I was
like
on a trip.
accidentally.
I was
Uh,
on a trip, maybe driving, and I didn't really there was nothing playing in the car. I'm trying to remember what that would be. Like in the
I like
I would say safely 2 days. That's about an answer. I don't have a real exact answer for that, but or sometimes being even though I'm in music, sometimes I don't actually want to listen to music. Like I like some ambient sound stuff on YouTube channels. One of them's like Meditative Mind. Like they'll have like frequency kind of things.
I
Um,
constantly have stuff playing on my iPad. I like bring it everywhere. That's what I'm like pointing at it. It's like over there.
yeah, Meditative Mind. Like they'll have like a binaural beats. I'm not so much about
528.
that because what's that?
528.
528, yeah, like frequency things, just like beds of sound and kind of. It's not like it's white noise, but just like it has a tone. It just I mean, it just has a kind of like a tone, and it's sort of
I
ambient.
I keep it on the lowest level. Um,
Because yeah, I agree. Because like I keep it low, and otherwise, it's like sometimes I just don't want absolute silence. Sometimes, and it depends on my mind frame. Like sometimes I'm cool with absolute silence. Sometimes I just feel like I'm like my mind is like scraping on the ground if I don't have a little bed of sound going.
are you very, I mean, conscious of your like unconscious?
Yeah, I can catch myself. I can catch myself like and I can catch things and kind of use it for lyrics and like catch I can
Mhm.
hear murmuring sometimes and bring it up and like
Yeah.
words or things like random thoughts or things or channels like little ideas or words or sentences or images that pop. Um, I
Mhm.
can catch that and bring it up. I've done that with some of my songwriting. I can do that sometimes if I seek it out.
Yeah. That's cool. That's like a true artist.
Yeah,
That's
I've definitely done that a few times where I like try and keep like I try and because you can hear yourself. One can hear themselves, or or maybe you can, I'm sure, but some people can hear themselves like catching images or things in the back of their head.
yeah, f- definitely. Um, yeah. Eh, I keep hitting it and the computer keeps messing around.
And like so you feel like you have like a lot of input. You can soak things up from your subconscious. Like by the way, this would be like a 12th house thing to be able to a 12th house theme is like kind of like capturing things in the corners of your mind, like images, words, symbols, things like that, and having an ability to decipher or decipher them or register them even.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of why I've always felt like different than other people, like, and especially in groups. I have Saturn in my 11th house too. In whole sign, it's in the 12th. My
Okay.
Jupiter and
Well,
Saturn.
so if you have a sun and maybe even Saturn in the 12th house, that would be an ability to like illuminate or put a light on it, and then Saturn would or could Saturn could give structure to that, so that Saturn could provide a tangible framework. Like imagine like if the 12th house and the horoscope represents like the subconscious, unconscious, the unknowable, the other side, things like all that, right? And the regular mind may not be able to channel that, but in your particular case, like if you have both a flashlight to kind of illuminate it, and then you also have scaffolding, which is Saturn, to structure it, you have the ability to A, kind of see it more clearly, and then B, also have the structure to order it into a more tangible understanding.
Yeah, like Sun in 12th.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then
Yeah,
Saturn, if
so you
Saturn is
can I can like really see the 12th house. Yeah.
and
That
and
I
Saturn, go ahead, sorry.
no, yeah, I really can see the 12th house and like feel it. Like it feels like at home, like it makes sense to me, and like putting myself out there is uncomfortable.
And Saturn can crystallize.
Yeah.
It could also
And
crystallize and give a form to it for you.
yeah, with like people.
Yeah, or
Or,
just
like
yourself. It makes it clearer to you. It makes it also if it is in 12th house, depending on the system you're using.
yeah, I keep
It also
thinking
may
the
mean you have
11th.
dharma or karma or dharma, or you have work that is to be done in that particular realm, and you just have a set of tools to be able to make sense of it
Yeah.
because it
Uh,
takes whatever it'll solidify it for you in theory, or could.
yeah. I've really like looking at what's opposite of my whole big stellium, like focusing on my Lilith has really helped me like find stability in this area of my life to help understand my sun and my Mercury and everything. So that's fun. But
Right.
um yeah, that's fascinating. Well, I was gonna say something, but I'll just ask the next question.
Oh yeah, sure. Go whatever you want to ask.
Yeah, it'll probably come to me. Oh, what the reason I asked about the music thing was because I went a month without listening to music, and I feel like that should be illegal or something. Like it not actually, but like it was hard. Like the listening to a song after a month was like I just still remember it was like some Justin Bieber song on the radio, and I'm like, wow, like it was amazing.
So what made you not leave? What made you not listen to music for a month? Was it willful, or you just didn't, or was there a circumstance?
My mom signed me up to do a it's called Knowles, but I was in Mexico, like in the desert, like kind of sailing from little island to little island, like with the group of 11 people, and then I went down to 9 people. But yeah, we had no music or like no technology or anything.
Oh, okay. Well, when you say the ocean, where was this? Like Baja,
Yeah, it was.
or like on the Gulf of
Yeah,
California?
Baja California, sorry, Mexico.
So like between Baja California and mainland Mexico, or like on the outside, but like in the Gulf of California, like between the two land masses, or in the Pacific?
In the Gulf.
In the Gulf. Okay.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
It was interesting. I was just looking at a map of that last night. There's this place called Del Penasco at the northern thing near Arizona. You kind of go and it goes all the way down to Cabo. Is that the
Mhm.
kind of thing you mean?
Uh, we didn't really go down that way. Like I was l- like not like I don't think we went far. I don't know. I feel like we just stayed. Well, we went. I don't even know. We went to different islands.
And so this was the purpose of what was it was just like a trip on the boat, or was like a
We had like little tiny sailboats. So I like learned how to
interesting.
sail. So that was
Oh,
fun.
the host of the point was to learn how to sail.
Kind of. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
And you did that for a month. It sounds tough, actually.
yeah.
That sounds hard, actually, to do. So like for a month,
Yeah.
wouldn't it be would be hot, and it would be hot and tiring, I imagine.
Yeah. And then it would get cold at night, and it never rains at Baja, but it rained for like 3 weeks while I was there or something.
Really?
Yeah, it was fun eventually, but I almost did it for 3 months. That's why I was laughing because it's like, yeah, like I'm imagining 3 months of that, like, no. And and I was also laughing because when I went there, like I didn't know I was gonna learn how to sail. And they were like, did you know where you were coming or did you even know what you signed up for? I'm like, no. My mom kind of signed me up and that's why. So
Interesting. So what were some other activities like besides learning how to sail?
we would go hiking or just like walking. Well, like we had to learn how to like pack up the boat, like what happens if a boat sinks, uh,
Hmm.
work on all that. One person, a leader, there were like three older people. He kind of did like an astronomy thing, like looking at the stars at night. So that was interesting. That was fun. They,
Local navigation.
yeah. Wait, what'd you say? Something else?
I was saying like to like navigate according to like the star, that star, the North Star, all that,
Uh,
or just astronomy, just on a boat.
or just like late at night, like on the beach. That's what we would
Okay.
have to like pack up and like do tentology, learn how to like pack a tent and set it up and
I
everything.
I mean, I imagine in Baja California must have been a pretty good view of the stars. It must have been pretty visible.
That's what it was beautiful. Uh, yeah, I think it was more visible.
So a bit far, I mean, somewhat farther north, but not too much. Like when I was in Big Sur in California,
Mm,
at the time, right? Like it, and that's actually pretty unpopulated. It's sparsely populated. So when I was there, I remember the moon was here, and then the moon was here, and then Venus was here. They're kind of close, and so they're setting. Maybe they're rising actually. Wait, did they set? No, the moon's well. No, yeah, they're rising. They're rising because things the moon rises in the west, right? So
mm.
right? Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, it rises in no rise. So it sets in the west. It was setting in the west. The moon and Venus were both together and sort of setting in the west. And what was interesting is that there was a trail of on the water. There was like a trail of light coming off of the moon. But
Mm,
also interestingly enough is that Venus was strong enough because the stars are strong enough there because of no light pollution is that Venus had a trail of light coming off of it, actually on the ocean. So there was both a lunar trail of there was both a lunar trail of light on the ocean, and Venus also had a Venusian trail of light on the
mm.
ocean. It's
Oh,
kind of
yeah, I
you can
like
see
that.
like a little trickle from underneath it. I thought that was pretty cool, actually. It was reflect the light of Venus was reflecting on the ocean.
Where do you live? Can you see the stars pretty well where you live?
Not I'm in New Jersey, so people would assume that you must not be able to, but there so it's not great, but it's not bad either. It's not bad because it's like away from the city.
Is that where you
It's
were born?
yeah. I mean, it was it's I can get to New York in like in an hour, but it's not like it's just woods around. It's woodsy.
Oh, where you are? It's Woodsy.
Yeah, so it's like it's there's still an influence from the city and the overall Northeast. So, but you can see something. It can be okay. It's not great. It's not bad.
So
I don't know
you're
about
not.
you.
I can kind of see the stars, but like not too well.
Yeah, it's kind of it seems like it's about the same.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like I feel like on the west, like in California, you can kind of see them a lot better.
Yeah, provided one's away from LA
Yeah,
or whatever. As long as it's not too close to Los Angeles, you should be able to see them better on average out there.
probably.
You're right.
I've been to Joshua Tree and that was beautiful.
That would be a good example. Like you'll be able to see it pretty well. What did you do in Joshua Tree?
I actually went to a Desert Trip Festival. If you heard of it, it was like a one-time thing. Like they can't bring the same lineup back. It was Bob Dylan, the Rolling Stones, Paul McCartney, Roger Waters, and The Who.
Okay.
Yeah. So
It was obviously a one time. That sounds like a one time thing. Yeah. What year was it? Do you mind?
it was 2016,
Okay.
October, I think.
I think they're all still pretty much out there. The guys you mentioned, I think they're all still out there touring.
I know they kept calling it like the Catch 'em Before They Croak festival, and like they would
I
make
think
like
Bob,
old
but
shows.
I mean, I could be wrong. I think Bob Dylan is still out there. I don't hear. I mean, no one really refers to him as like a leading. It's weird because like at this point, no one really refers to him as like a living, breathing, touring entity. But he's more like this historical thing. But
He
he's out
likes to
there.
be very secluded. He's definitely very 12th house or 8th house and probably all of it. But
Well, he. You want to know something? I don't think he's 12th house, but he has a feeling of the 12th house because if I remember his chart correctly, he's a Gemini sun, right? But he also has a Taurus moon, which means is that the moon and the sun are in the balsamic phase to each other. So like it's the sun, you know,
wait, Gemini
it's called,
Sun and Taurus Moon.
yeah.
Okay.
So like it's so in the lunar cycle, his sun is like 12 houses away from his from his sun, which it gives a 12 housing quality. So that immediately comes to mind.
Huh. Yeah. Even though they're kind of like right next to each other.
They're right next to each other, not in the 11th or 12th house, but they're 12 signs away, which gives it it's like the moon's 12 houses away, almost all the way around the cycle from that sun. So it gives like a 12 housing feel, a balsamic moon feel to it, which would be an analogy with it, kind of.
That's kind of like my Cancer Sun and Leo Moon. I mean, being like all like that.
Well, in the opposite direction. For you, the moon is
Oh.
for you, it's a waxing phase. For him, it's a waning at the end of at the end of the phase. Yours, you had it. You had a new moon in Cancer, and then it's waxing. For him, it's at waning and all the way around.
Okay.
And I think it's down here, and I think it's down. If I don't know how it looks from your end. I think it's down here in like the fifth or the sixth. Like the sixth sun, the fifth is the moon in Taurus, I believe, something
Interesting.
like that.
Um, what was I about to say? Oh, when he performed, he didn't have the camera on his face at all. Like the camera was behind him, kind of in the corner.
Really,
It was black and white. Yeah, and he performed like it was still sunlight when he performed. I think he opened for Paul McCartney maybe. So I don't I don't think he was upset about that. I don't know. But I was kind of annoyed because my sister was dragging me around during it and I wanted to watch it, but it was fascinating that he didn't want his face on it at all and he was kind of just playing his music on the piano and like didn't was black and white. Like it was interesting. I like
is
liked his vibe.
I mean, I like the thing is what I just did right now is I just typed in Bob Dylan and instantly came out. It's like on tour,
Oh, okay.
Worldwide Tour 2021 to 2024. So it just goes on and on and on.
He probably doesn't even need to like advertise that much.
He
Like,
doesn't even need to advertise that much. And then
yeah,
looking at it, it's just like
I follow him on Instagram and I bet someone else runs it. Like, it's kind of very boring. I mean,
right. It's like he has like 2 dozen dates here.
emotional.
I just think this guy's perpetually on tour. I mean, I haven't thought, but it's like, yeah, pretty much he's just always on tour. It looks like to me. It's like, it's the first, that's the search. The first thing came up when I like typed him in real quick was his tour.
Do you like his music? I really
I
love,
do.
yeah.
I do. I mean, I'm not like a big Bob Dylan. I can't tell you 100% like what track is on what album, and there's a whole ton of albums.
Yeah.
But I've listened to a whole bunch of songs, but I can't quite.
But you
Oh, I
connect
mean,
with his music, like,
I can tell you that well, no, I mean, I can tell you, for instance, that like I can tell you that lately lays on Nashville Skyline. I can look at a few songs on this or that album, just blowing the tracks, and I can name albums, but I can't tell you like what every single song and every single album,
yeah.
like
I,
some people could.
but I know you like Lana Del Rey.
I do.
I like her too. Um, my friend was,
Even with her, I would forget a few tracks. Like, do I remember a few at the end of Lust for Life? I might have to like strain to remember. I don't know, but I've listened to all of her music. But I can't like give you. I'm not like I can't give you like an order every single song and every single thing. I've heard it
I
all.
don't think I could do that for anyone.
I can't do that for anyone. Yeah, just to be clear,
Yeah.
I can't do that for anyone.
I was gonna
Most
say, can
likely,
you do it for a lot of people? Because that's like kind
no.
of impressive.
And well, at this point, she's put out like basically 9 or 10 albums. I think more like 10 if you count the one, particularly if you count the one before she was famous. Or Kill, no,
Uh,
not Kill Bill. I'm thinking, there's one called Kill. No, that's just a song of hers. There's an album before she Born to Die. So let's
uh,
say there's 10. That's like she is like so that she has like well over 100 songs. And so I'm not going to remember like the order of every single song and every single album. I've heard them all,
that's
one
like
way
the
or the other.
Beatles. Like, if you ever say you know like every Beatles song, like, yeah, you don't. Like, there's so many random like songs that are just like,
Exactly. I still haven't. There's still things I'll see, and I just like it'd be like, I don't know that Beatles song. I mean, but I've like listened to a whole bunch, and but there's a hell of a lot. I mean, even also with Lana Del Rey, as you probably likely know, is that there's a huge back catalog that people are really into. and then and there's always new songs that seem to float
I'm
up.
actually, I don't know that much about her really. I at some point one song like Summertime Sadness, like I really liked it in middle school or like whenever I don't know. And then every time I would hear it, it just gave me like the worst vibe. Like I don't know what that was for like a year or two. It kind of like it made me feel so weird, but now I like her. Like I can listen to the song and it doesn't make me feel weird, but it was some like binaural beat. It was like I don't know,
It was
but
like a sound quality. It was like a quality of the production or the sound of it.
yeah, like I don't know if it brought me to a different space in my mind, like to a bad memory. Maybe that's what it was.
Right.
Which, which makes sense, but I don't know. But my friend the other day, he's very into Lana Del Rey and he showed me like one of her new albums and it was fascinating. Like I was like I think my jaw like it dropped when I was like listening to it like in the car. I'm like, "Wait, what?" Like she just was very surprising. Like it wasn't more rap in this new album.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's kind of it's like
I liked it.
her work over time became more like there's still some actually hip hop elements in it, I would say, but it, it feel like now it's more centered now, I would say, in like a singer songwriter style, more purely. There's still interjections of that, but it
Mm,
seems like now the recent work is more like 70s 70s base 70s style based singer songwriter, pop rock, light rock, piano balladry thing. And there's still some, yeah, earlier was there's like more of like when she first came out, it was more like raps here and then like orchestral stuff is here, and it's more like I wouldn't say a mismatch, but it was more like irregular, and now it feels like it's more melded and kind of consolidated.
mm.
If I think is
The uh, if you talk to my friend like who's very into it, I bet he's very into like music theory too. Like I bet you all would like that's fascinating to me. Like I went to a creative and performing arts school for a while. Um like in elementary, middle school, high school.
oh, cool.
And so I've been like around creative people a lot and I played trumpet for a little while, but and that piano for a little while. I still kind of remember Jingle Bells, but the music theory, like learning details and like memorizing that or like keeping it in my brain has always been hard for me. Like that's why I think school has been hard for me. Like uh I don't know. I think I'm very big picture too. Like when people start getting into the details and like having to remember that, like I'm just so big picture.
Right, I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
That's what I say a lot of random things to people. A lot of things I say and they're like, "How did you get to that?" And I'm like, I I'm just trying to embrace myself now, so and
Right,
accept myself for who I am. So but
you're a big picture thinker, you think?
yeah. Um yeah, I did some aptitude testing at like at the Johnson O'Connor Foundation Center in Chicago. In like aptitudes, you're like born with them and you're kind of good with it for your whole life. And they said my openness was very big, one
Hmm.
of the biggest they've ever seen. But it was like one of those tests where you like say a word and then you say a word that just comes to
Asso-
mind.
Association.
Yeah, it was that test. And I don't know how those things even work, like testing all that, but
Interesting. Is this, as you said, is a Johnson Center?
yeah, it was like Johnson O'Connor Center Foundation.
Is that a famous organization? I don't. I feel
I'd never heard of it before. I'm sure it is.
me neither. Yeah, I'm just curious what that would be, or they provide testing for that sort of thing.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was like over 2 days.
Wow.
Let me look at oh yeah, I said how many instruments do you play?
Um, Basically two. Well, the singing is an instrument, so maybe three. I'm producing a Christmas song in my studio at home, and for right now, and so I can program drums. I mean, like I mean, I
Oh,
can play guitar and piano, right? So like tangibly speaking, I can play two. Singing, you could count as a third. But then for like I'm producing a Christmas song, and as I produce it, I have to like program drums,
Mm.
and then I have to,
Like, are you typing on a keyboard when you do that? Or
well, it's like a graph. It's like graphically, like when you work with MIDI
oh,
and you have and you adjust things, and yeah, kind of more or less. And then bass. I can like come up with a bass line even though I'm not playing a literal bass guitar. I can do it in the computer because I can figure it out kind of.
I like your song In the Shadows.
Oh, thanks.
I
I didn't produce that. That was a guy named John in California, Buscema.
oh, did you
But
write it?
yeah, but thanks. Yeah, I like that. I mean, at least wrote it or half wrote it. I wrote it with that one I wrote with someone else, with another person.
No, I like I mean your voice too is very I know you've said you described it in a way that was I think it was on your website or something. I really liked how you described it, but something vibrato, like not spiritual vibrato, but something like that.
Yeah, that's often what people say. I guess like with my singing is I was like, oh, it's kind of low and it has a vibrato.
Yeah. Should we play a snippet of a song?
Oh, if you want, yeah, go ahead. I mean, if you want to, sure.
Do you want me to on my phone? I
Yeah, that might be the best. That might be the most best way of doing it. I also have the speakers here.
um
Either way, like I don't I had no idea. Like like let's try this out. I'm about to play for you, and I want to see how this translates to you.
okay, yeah, you do it.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
And how is does it sound okay and not crazy? Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like distorting.
I don't think so. That's what it's kind of like stopping and starting, and I don't know if that's you or like when someone talks, it's stopping or like what.
Oh,
Like, did you pause it at all?
no, I didn't. It could be that's over. It could be like I have no idea how it's going to translate or how that sounds.
Oh, yeah, like I could barely hear it for like a second.
Let's try this.
Yeah.
Let's see if it's better. Play a little snippet.
Yeah. Like,
That's my song. So
it's like stopping. Yeah, I don't hear that one as much.
your phone thing may be better.
Okay,
Your could be better on your maybe it might be better on your phone.
let me see. Do you
That
hear
I can hear that clearly.
should I play like this part?
Yeah.
Love was a list of what was wrong with me. Drink it up. All my insecurities programmed into
I think that's like a good
Yeah.
like
Little
you can
snippet.
hear it's nice to like see someone's art or like feel it or hear it. I was thinking like music really is I mean it brings you into like a different state of your soul. Like same with looking at art or like making art. It's amazing. I think my next question was about Kanye. Do you like Kanye's music?
Yeah, I do. I
Do
do. I can't like I feel like I can't tell you like I'm like a big like expert and like I know front to back, but I mean, um, I've heard a whole bunch of songs, obviously. I don't know if I'm like a big person have like these like big statements on it. I would say that I do like I mean I'm not gonna say anything that people are already saying, more or less, about have already said about him because people said a lot about him. I think I would say my favorite album, the two ones I listened to most were probably My Dark Twisted Fantasy, I believe Yeezus, and Life of Pablo. Those are the ones I'm probably most familiar with, and I have heard Donda. And I think there was a Donda too, even.
mm. So you
Are
like
you a big Are you a big fan or?
yeah, I do like him.
I like I mean, I like what's some favorite ones like Wolves, Fade.
Mm.
Um, Obviously, My Dark Twisted Family, stuff off of My Dark Twisted Fantasy. Um, where are some of your favorite songs?
That's what Dark Twisted Fantasy, that's my brother-in-law's favorite album. He's very into Kanye too. Um I like College Dropout's like amazing. But do you like Kid Cudi? Do you know?
I'm not a big I don't know a lot of I have to say like I don't know if I've listened to more than like a couple of songs of his. I'm not too familiar.
That's what they've worked together a lot.
Yeah,
And
they have. Yeah,
yeah,
so like I'm like
like
I
Kids
have
See Ghost is their album together. It was like 2008. Kids See Ghost. They have a cool
yeah.
album color.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
love
yeah, yeah. It's like a
both of
six
them.
track EP. Is that the one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what.
I have listened to that. Okay, I have listened to that, but I don't quite remember which one. I have to say I'm not a kid. I'm not a kid. I
Yeah,
have some blind spots when it comes to hip hop and
I I mean they both. I mean their music. You know those people that are just like have helped you like a lot.
what do you say? What are your so you're like my those are your favorite albums of his?
Um, it's hard for me to pick favorites. I don't like to, but
I like yeah I like everything of Dark Twisted Fantasy. I think another favorite of mine is Ultralight Beam is one I like a lot.
I
I
don't know.
believe that's one with Kirk Franklin and Faith Evans. I forget. I believe so. That was the singer. Those and Chance the Rapper that they came in. They would do a verse.
Uh,
I like that one a lot.
yeah,
What
I'm
else?
not great at like. Yeah, I don't know all of them, I guess. I don't know that one. Well, it sounds familiar, like Ultralight Beam, but it's like I can't picture it. But yeah, I love Kid Cudi too, and like them working together. Like I really, I had like a spiritual experience listening to Kid Cudi one time. Like it was, I mean, listening to them all the time, like I do feel very spiritually connected. But like one time, like I just like closed my eyes and I've listening to Love by Kid Cudi. And that was like a crazy moment. And it's like not that many singers like could get you like it was just crazy.
I should check that one out, or I should check that. Is that his is that like that's the solo thing, or is there guest other features or
It's a solo one. Yeah, and
okay?
he just made it possible to be on Spotify because a lot of good Kid Cudi stuff has been just like on tracks and SoundCloud. Like it hasn't been able to be on Spotify, but
And
he
it's called Love. I'll definitely take a look at that. I'm pretty sure I don't know it, but I'll look at it.
it it was crazy. But okay, what's another question? When I don't know, when did you start studying astrology? We kind of already talked about that though. Do you paint or dance or do any other art forms as therapy? Like,
Yeah, I used to draw and paint. I used
uh,
to draw and paint. I'm trying to see if I have anything. I used to draw and paint. I'm trying to see if I have anything up around. I don't. Well, wait. Do I?
are you very expressionist, abstract?
I I definitely did some abstract thing. I don't have anything around me.
Hmm.
I don't have anything around me that I did. I do upstairs from here, but I did a
It,
whole bunch of things. I mean, I wasn't. I unfortunately I stopped for music.
mm,
I probably could get back to just doing both because it was something I enjoyed doing. I don't know why. I would like to get back to that for sure.
yeah, that'd be interesting to see what you have done.
Yeah, I mean, I could make. I mean, I could even if it was readily available, I could show you, or I could put it. Maybe I could put it on the internet or something, just as like a fun little post.
Yeah,
I
that'd
like
be,
to do. Yeah, it's a good offset. In fact, like probably have a lot of ideas bottled up. Like if I don't do music for a while, I'll have a song ideas bottled, like kind of like ready that I've like built up, and I might have a lot of visual ideas built up
yeah.
if I get back to it.
That's how I feel too. I've realized like my best stuff of what I paint is when I have like a lot of feelings in me. And it's
So you
like,
paint.
yeah, I like to.
What kind of? How would you describe what you like to paint?
Uh, like how I paint.
Yeah, like what does it look like? What are some inspirations? What does it look like?
I'm very expressionistic, like abstract.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, while we're at it, while we're at, do you have an example or
Um, not right by me.
okay?
Well, I made this
Your
thing.
dog.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Is it
I did a
collage or what is
collage.
that? It's nice. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's actually Bob Dylan. So
Oh, cool. I like
I
he has
did
a little bolo.
Yeah.
All eye is cool. I like that. It kind of reminds me of like here I had this like you see things in
Hmm.
like this is like a book about like
I like
graphic design, how to use graphic design to sell things. It reminds me of something I would see,
mm,
you know, in like all that history of
yeah. I took graphic
graphic artists and things
design.
like that. What's that? Go ahead.
I took graphic design last semester too, I think.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of someone who was like good at like graphic design,
Yeah,
um
that was I don't know, that was a fun project. Like just cutting stuff up in a magazine and putting it together on a scanner.
that is cool. I like the way that looked. I mean, it's more than graphic design because you're not doing it for a purely commercial reason. You did it for your own personal reason. Like graphic design, plus someone commissions you and you
Yeah.
go and do. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely but it reminds me of like someone who has that sensibility of like good graphic designs and being able to message with using visual images and creating a message with it in that
Yeah.
sense.
Would you call that mixed media on a piece of paper?
Yeah, I guess. Well, I mean, you obviously took a picture of you,
I
like,
used a leaf. Like I put a leaf from outside. And so it's kind of mixed media. Like I don't know if you see that, but that was like I taped it in that too. It kept
and so
falling
then
out.
you put this all on the paper and you like made a copy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I guess it's not mixed media.
right,
It was at one point though. I had the like colorful thing like handed like right next to it.
right. But it
But
looks
yeah,
cool.
you should post something on uh I don't know, Instagram or TikTok.
Yeah, I will. I definitely will. If you, yeah, I never know what to post actually. So
The yeah, you get the creative spark, I could tell, and then
yeah, I don't really have. I mean, I don't really have so much of like a strategy the way some people might. So like when it comes to being on online or like having this big strategy, like
yeah,
I'm also a bit eclectic. Like if I just want to do something or it comes up, so half the time it's just something crosses my mind and I put it up instantly.
yeah, I mean, because if you want to make money from TikTok, you have to post a lot, like, and that's like people have that in mind and they're like schedule out their TikToks and like plan it out, and it's like you don't do that. You do it and very intuitively. That's how I like to work. That's how like true. Well, I know creativity, you need boundaries to be creative. I think you
Yeah,
talked about that
I mean,
recently.
I would probably be better with my TikTok if I like was a bit more like consistent with what it is I'm talking about. Like you choose one thing, you just keep going on and on and on with about that one topic. Like, hi, look at these people. Hi, the person who gives you a backstage celebrity story, and that's just all they do. And
Yeah.
that's stuff like that gets popular because because people want to hear about celebrities, I guess. And also additionally, like it's just one thing over and over and over and over again. They know exactly what to expect. Whereas I kind of dance around it a bit.
Do you, it's hard for me to like describe myself in like a resume or like a bio or like any of that and like
Right.
stick to one thing too. Like if trying to describe my podcast, like I don't know how to. I'm also just starting to get into it, but
Well, you may find over as you do you may
yeah.
find as you do more of them you find that it tends to fall into the following topics and grooves.
I like talking to people, so I think maybe like sticking to like an interview type of like
Right.
relationships. I don't know.
You might get an idea what it is you would like to do and
Yeah.
how it unfolds and how you do it. Yeah. More you might get more of a sense of what specific thing you might want to ask for or whatever.
Yeah. Uh,
So yeah,
Taking
it's
it
cool.
one day at a time.
What's that?
I said taking it one day at a time.
Right, exactly.
The Do you see the timer too? It says like one.
Oh,
But I can.
oh, the time left. Oh yeah, it's less than a minute. Is that what it says up here? Yeah, it's recording less than a minute.
I was gonna say, do you see that too, or is it just?
Yeah.
Do you want to end it and I can send it like right back to you? I'll try to do
Yeah.
it faster this time. Last
Yeah.
time I went to the bathroom, so. Okay, 1 second. And then, yeah, okay. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Sorry, I forgot I had, it says it has to like convert to like save the video. I don't know. But I'm like just looking at it like get to 100. Um I also did, I looked at the time, I'm like, oh, I don't want to like hold anyone like too late.
Oh, no problem. No problem. I wasn't really paying too much attention.
I know, I'm like, it's gone by so fast. That's usually, I have like no sense of time, or like it goes by really fast. Um so my next question was about like TikTok. That's it. I got into a phase in TikTok where I like had to like every single video, and then that like of course messes up my For You page. And so I'm I'm very much on like music talk.
Hmm. Like what? Which topics?
Like a lot of people that have like no likes, like starting out, like a lot of those. I
Oh, that's
see
cool.
a lot of people, and it's kind of nice. Like I'm like, oh, I want to be the first person to like their video.
That's nice. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's nice to support.
It messed up my For You page though, so
Oh, why? Because it's a lot of that now,
yeah.
or it's all that.
It was at one point. I've kind of tried to fix it, but there's some music people that I've still like see like yours, and I can think of like one other person's, but it's just funny like being on music talk, and I'm like don't even make.
Well, so it's like, are these people? Is it mostly them playing their music, just basically like recording their song or doing a cover?
Yeah, like, oh, this is my first song ever,
Oh
or
wow,
or doing a cover or something. I don't know,
that's
but
cool.
what is your For You page like?
Good question. It can be like some other musicians, other music. It can be other musicians, people. Well, is that for you? You want to know something? Sometimes I get confused about like there's a different tab between for you and then like people you follow, and I just noticed there's a difference after 2 years being on it.
You just noticed?
Yeah, I just noticed like 'cause they're two different lists, right? So
Are you
uh,
always on For You or following?
I actually prefer to keep it on following once I made noted that difference because like I would rather obviously interact with people I'm following.
Mhm.
Um, Trying to think.
Like that, yeah.
It seems pretty eclectic. I don't always like everything they're sending me.
Mhm.
But like I tend to like more people. I tend to like things more. I tend to like things more from people who I've chosen to follow. Well,
Yeah.
many of whom tend to be over artists or otherwise. Like for one, for instance, because I would like because like astrology, like for example, with astrology, because I would watch a lot of it, but it doesn't mean that there's a certain point like I like it. My single thing is like I like to watch something, but once I've seen it, I don't want to see more of it necessarily. Like I'm good for now on like say an astrology like what because it's not so much like I like for astrology stuff like I'll like look at what they're saying, but once I've seen what they're saying, I've seen it kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
I don't need to see that person's thing over and over and over again or like for a week.
Uh,
You know what I
y-
mean? Like I like to see things just to see it and then see what they have to say, but it doesn't mean that I want to follow or see always want to follow that only.
yeah. Uh, I don't follow that many like astrology TikToks. I like to Google stuff sometimes and watch it, but no, I don't really see many astrology TikToks.
Right. Yeah, I
That's
mean
what
I would go
I
ahead.
would feel guilty not watching someone's whole video.
I try and watch people's whole thing if I
Yeah,
choose to watch it.
I try to do that too.
Particularly though if like if someone I know in particular, like I try and watch and then
Yeah,
like and if I don't have time, I'm not gonna watch something like it. I might just favorite to look at later
yeah. That's
because
what
like I
I'm
don't
very obsessive or like controlling about it. Like that's what it was kind of like an obsessive compulsive thing. Like I felt like I had to like and follow everyone's thing and like have to watch all of it to
Right.
support them. And that was like driving me crazy.
Right.
I have
It's impossible.
Pluto in like the sixth house. Uh,
Right.
so and Chiron conjunct. Um
That's nice of you, but it's impossible. It's kind of impossible to keep track of that sort of thing.
yeah, like I shouldn't drive myself crazy like trying to support people. Like I don't need to be like a burden or like that martyr like to support people like that. I need to I don't know. I was being very hard on myself like doing it and I didn't like doing it either. And it's like if I don't like doing something, why am I doing it? I
Right.
don't-
No, I mean, I was the same way where I wanted to be supportive, but
Yeah.
I realized that there's like certain energetic limits I had with I have energetic limits with it for
Yeah.
sure.
I my TikTok just was so fun and interesting at one point and then I kind of messed it all up, but it's fine.
Yeah, it can kind of like it can also kind of become like it can kind of quickly go from a lot of it can kind of quickly go from like zany and even kind of like entertaining or even mindless to like super serious or like super like and like depressing and serious. And like they're
Yeah.
discussing the ills of the world, then back to something completely crazy and sort of silly.
That's what with the just looking, are you talking about following or for you?
Either actually, but
Yeah.
particularly for you, like people I'm not following, it can just vastly quickly between these extremes of like we're going to talk about the effects of capitalism and colonialism and these like deep intense subjects, and then back to me making a squeaky voice over a donut. It's like it's kind of there's like a certain point which it starts to fragment my mind. If like that's why I'm like I try and watch what I'm watching in full,
That
like a full video, and then I try and give like full attention to things, so otherwise my mind will become like distracted and fragmented.
yeah, like not you don't like to multitask like that.
Definitely not.
Yeah. I
It's hard. It's already hard to kind of like make. It's already hard to like make a video, and then like I try and watch things. I just if I just don't have time, if I need to take a break, I just have to take a break. It doesn't mean I don't like someone.
yeah, that's very true. I mean, we need to like take care of ourselves that way. And 'cause
Exactly.
I don't want other people to feel that way with me. Like if someone's gonna watch my whole podcast, because I used to feel like I had to watch everyone's YouTube video till the very end too. Like just in case they say something, like I'm gonna miss it. And like if someone was doing that to me and like kind of driving themselves crazy, like watching me, like I don't want that. I don't want anyone to drive themselves crazy. I want people to not feel the way I felt before.
Right.
That's what I want.
Right.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
I have like I set up these because I was trying to figure out like where to like film this and everything. And so I like set up these lights and they're like have been like facing towards me and I feel like I don't know, it's just like weird
It
like
looks good. I mean, you seem well lit. It seems like it's a cool backdrop, and you're well lit. So I'm actually not. I'm actually kind of more shadowed than you are. I don't. I'm just in front of my computer, but you
I
have
wa-
more of like a light on your face, the way I
yeah,
should have.
I did that on purpose, but it just feels weird like having it like pointed towards me and like the artificial light, like I feel it. I feel the
Right.
difference. I'm very
Right.
I mean very Cancer and
Light
very
sensitive.
yeah,
Right.
both house, yeah. What was my next question? Oh, I think my next question was just like talking about like where they can find you, but I can like tag you on wherever, like my comment on the podcast and everything.
Yeah, yeah. Well, either or that yeah, whatever would be easier for you. I could also
But it's just your name on everything, right?
yeah. My name is Eric Contractor. So
Yeah.
I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm primarily a musician, and I'm on Spot. My music's on Spotify. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. I'm on like on a million things. Like I'm on Snapchat. I mean, I'm on YouTube, but
Uh,
my main things are like Instagram, TikTok, and I have my music up for streaming on Spotify and wherever else.
that's
Pretty
like
simple.
yeah.
Pretty
That
simple. Yeah, it's not too involved. Like I'm on like on a million things. There's a whole other people like, oh, I have a Reddit and I have a Snapchat and I have a I don't even know what else there is really.
I was because you're I mean it's just having a tag where it's just your name, like that's pretty nice. Like you don't have to add a number or like an underscore.
Yeah, just try for that reason. I'd like to keep it relatively simple. So there's no numbers, there's no alias, there's no kind of there's no alias. I'm not like the parachuting Taj Mahal flag wearer or something like that. Yeah,
Oh wait, what?
I don't know. It just came out of my mind, like something random like that. Like it's pretty easy. Just my
That's-
name.
I added numbers to mine, and I'm like, I wish I didn't have to, but whatever. I like threes, so I just did three threes.
That's cool.
Yeah. But I was thinking, like, do you think our ancestors, like, we're kind of like that's kind of where our last names come from, and like yours being contractor, do you think your like ancestors were contractors?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, I mean,
Like you
I
know.
know.
Uh,
Yeah, because on my father's side, my father's from India. So on my father's side,
oh.
my great great, so two great grandfather was a railroad builder in India for the British, or when the British were occupying India. So he built railroads, and as he was a contractor. So it's the
So
same thing. It's the same thing as like Norma Jean Baker. It's like or like a Baker or Mason, or it's just a trade name, and they just gave them the name.
what were their last names before that though?
We
Or
don't
did
know.
oh, we don't know.
It's like the 1860s, like 1850s. That's when the name kicked in, like the mid 19th century. So
They didn't have last names before that?
we did. They did, but we don't know. It's so far back, and there isn't a record. It's
Oh.
only once they worked for. It's maybe only after a certain point in which they kept records, because it's very easy. Even in America or Europe, it's very easy for people to quickly lose track. Names are changed. They don't remember. You can quickly. I mean,
Yeah.
we never met our great great grandparents, so it's very easy for history to be lost like that very quickly.
But they just randomly had it recorded at one point.
Yeah, because it was for their system. It makes sense because it's for their system. It's
Uh,
for British colonial India, so they would keep records of that. So that's how you know there was less of a record would be kept for who are these Indian people's names is who weren't part of the system, who are just out there surviving somewhere.
yeah. So unless like you've just known from word of mouth or like some physical document that's been kept.
Yeah, especially since they did public projects and they're public government related employees, they would keep a record of that. So that would be easy to kind of mark. Whereas whatever the name was before that, someone probably knew it like 80 years ago, but it's been forgotten.
Yeah. That my last name means listener
Oh, cool.
or son of Simon, but I think that's cool because I do feel connected to that. Um, like it has a meaning.
Sims.
Yeah, or and like me being a listener. Like I didn't start talking until like I was like 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is like pretty late. Like they had to put me in speech classes to get me to talk. Because I just wouldn't.
Oh, cool. Well,
But
not.
I
Well, I
don't
mean,
think I
I was
wanted
in speech. I was in that too. I had a speech class, and
yeah. So I did it like before. Well, I don't even really. I think it might have been all for like for several years. I don't know. Yeah.
I was definitely one of those myself.
Yeah. I was more of a listener, so
Right.
I think it has some truth to it.
Right.
Are
I see
you
what you mean. Names kind of have like a can describe someone, or
yeah. I was gonna say, was Jesus a carpenter? Well, I realize I think they said carpenter and contractor is different, I guess.
yeah, people tend to confuse. Sometimes people say carpenter, and that's understandable. They mixed it up.
Yeah, I guess that is very different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but kind of not too much. It's the same idea. Yeah, kind of. That's usually what people when people mess my name up. That's usually how they mess it up.
Oh, carpenter.
Yeah, they say air carpenter, and no, it's not.
Yeah, that's funny because it's like not spelled like similar, but it sounds and like the job like I would they're put in the same category.
Right, right.
That's funny. Well, maybe at some point you can be back on the podcast.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, sure.
That's what
That'd be fun.
I guess that was me inviting you at some point.
Yeah, yeah. Let me know. I mean, it was fun to talk and everything, and talk to you and everything. So,
Yeah, I'm really glad I did this. This is like so surreal. So I'm
we're talking like Like you mean like in the sense of like talking to people and finally getting a chance to talk to them when they're like this person on the internet?
Yeah. Like I feel like I've kind of imagined talking to you um for a while because like get to hear you have conversations and it's like I'm having a conversation back to you in my head, but you don't get to hear it.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's like I feel like I've talked to you like before, but I haven't.
Right, right.
And like I've imagined myself talking to you. So I don't know if
Yes,
that
it's cool. Like, just I've done the same thing with people. I feel like I'm going to eventually talk to them, and you kind of almost mentally work out, like saying like, oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah, like I
You
was trying
intend to talk to someone, you have questions in your head that you would ask them.
and like I've seen a lot of your stuff. Like I don't know I kind of don't know how other people perceive me anyway, but that's what if you've seen any of my TikToks, like I really well, I haven't posted in a long time and like most recently it's been like I was babysitting, so all these kids were on my posting on my TikTok for like that's all they wanted to do. So that's a lot of my TikToks. Like and I let them post whatever. I'm like, I don't even care. I kind of have like a decent amount of followers though, which is interesting.
Oh, cool.
That's why I like looking at the For You page recently since followed everyone and their mothers, and I think I follow like thousands of people that I don't even know.
Yeah,
So I've been more on the For You page because my following page feels like a For You page anyway. So
right.
it's
Well,
fun.
thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you are. So you're fun to talk to. Like this,
Oh, thank
this
you.
was interesting, and I am really glad I did this. I guess I'm gonna put all three of the videos together and I'll see how I do that. Maybe it will be like in a few hours or tomorrow. So
Yeah, yeah. Whenever,
yeah,
you'd like.
I guess I can let you know or like send you the link.
Cool. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
it'll be good
I mean, thank you really. Like this is like my first guest. Or you're my first guest, so
with the video.
yeah,
With
with
the
a
video.
video and
Cool.
I mean first guest besides my brother too, so non-family member.
Nice.
I
Cool. Well,
think
thanks for
everyone,
letting me be the first person to invite on the video part.
yeah. Uh, I tried to do a video one time, but it didn't upload, so I hope this one does.
Cool. If not, it still works in the audio. I mean, if you're on Spotify, as I saw you, I found you on Spotify, it's all audio and it still works.
No, this one should work. I was doing it on Photo Booth and it never worked on Photo Booth. So if it never worked on Photo Booth, it wouldn't work. Like I never got it working, so
Right.
that's my fault. But yeah, this is my first video. So if people watch, like, this is kind of
I knew it first for you.
yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you asked me to be on, so for that
Yeah.
part.
I mean, thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you. I've
awesome.
will talk to you later.
Talk to you later, and thanks for having me on. It was fun to talk as well with you as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. And you could say baby's asleep. That's her name, baby.
Of the dog.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
I